Well, hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Blue Star Roundup. We are the Middle Tennessee Dallas Cowboys fan club. I'm Rob Vale, this is Levi Batchelor, and we are going to talk about this past week's game against the San Francisco 49ers and preview the Cincinnati Bengals game this coming week. So just kind of looking back at the San Fran game, my initial reaction to it was a little bit of a mixed bag early on. I mean,
it's a tale of two halves, wasn't it?
I mean, well, when you look at the Cow, I think it was a good thing. Cowboys got behind 14. Not that it's good that you get behind, but
right.
They got behind 14-0. They, as young players, they could have just folded the tent and went into a fetal position and just gotten blown out.
Yep.
But they didn't do that. The coaches, I think, to their credit, probably was a big key in that because what they didn't do was they didn't get away from that game plan. You're down 14-0. There's a tendency to start to panic a little bit and you kind of go away from it, but they didn't. They stayed with their game plan, and it worked out well for them. Early on, Prescott looked like he had some good throws, but he had some errant throws. He was high on some of those. On some of those waggles or some of those bootlegs, he wasn't getting square the way he needed to. He wasn't getting the ball into wide open receivers.
Right.
They were sailing a little bit. So, but as I have said, and I think Levi has said too, this is a young guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's learning, and that's really what we can expect. And the fact of the matter is, he did really well to correct a lot of that. Yeah. So at the end of the day, he had a pretty good day, and Zeke had a great day.
Yes, another one.
Considering we didn't have our starting left side of our line, again, I mean it was pretty impressive. And on the defensive side of the ball, after we gave up those two early touchdowns, they only gave up 3 points the rest of the way.
That's right.
And that, I think, in and of itself says a lot about a very much maligned defense coming into this season. It was just an awful defense. Everybody said they weren't going to do anything.
Right.
They didn't have any pass rush. They couldn't cover on the back end. We had suspensions. We had this. We had that. But here we sit 3-1.
That's right.
And now
3 in a row.
Got a 3-game winning streak going. Now, quite frankly, honestly, we haven't beat a Goliath yet. But at the end of the day, you beat who was set in front of you.
That's right. And
that's what's going to happen going forward. That's going to tell the tale. The next couple of games are going to be a little bit tougher.
Yep.
But anyway, what's the view from your position? What you think?
Yeah. So a couple of takeaways that I had was that still there's very little pass rush, and with what you were talking about with the coaching, I thought that this was clearly one of Rod Marinelli's best games that he's ever coached, because a lot of the mistakes early in the game, simple lane assignments. We weren't controlling gaps, we weren't controlling lanes, and there was a lot of over pursuit or a lot of guys, the overrunning the play, and that would open up Hyde and the receivers, especially Gabbert, to cut back into wide open lanes. So if you don't control your gaps and you're over pursuing the play, there's nobody left to make a tackle.
And while watching the game too, I mean, it just seemed like our for whatever reason, Crawford and the ends were just crashing down a lot. They weren't really getting upfield to get any kind of containment.
Yep.
If you're going to crash down, you need your linebackers need to be able to be there to fill, or you bring a strong safety in or something to protect that. But they didn't do that, and I think they were getting washed down inside.
Yep.
And they took advantage of it, especially with Gabbert. And one thing Gabbert can do is run the ball. He's mobile and he'll pull it down. He's not afraid to run it. So it's exactly right. It's what they did.
And I know that this week specifically, knowing that Gabbert is that kind of mobile quarterback, it's a Chip Kelly system. I mean, so they're going to be doing a whole bunch of those read option keepers, pitches,
Right.
quick outs, and stuff. So I know that Rod Marinelli specifically coached up the defense to play that kind of spy. But like I said, or just to continue on what you were saying, a lot of times the defensive line was crashing down so much they were totally out of position, and the linebackers are having to try and fight off blocks and fight through a whole bunch of traffic just to see where the ball's at. A lot of the play fakes that the 49ers were running were effective simply because the linebackers could never see the ball, because we were getting dominated up front early, and like I said, the over pursuit, and it's tough to arm tackle anybody in the NFL, and if you're over pursuing, you're having to hope that maybe you can catch a shoestring on an NFL back, and 9 times out of 10 that doesn't happen.
Yeah, at the end of the day, yeah, there were some areas that need to be cleaned up. I don't think they will. One big boost we're getting is we're getting DeMarcus Lawrence back this week. I think you'll see a more disciplined rush end because Crawford is fairly new at doing that.
Right.
So some of the crashing inside and getting washed inside could have been instinct, it could have been technique. It just who knows. But at the end of the day, I think you're going to see a much better, at least I hope, a much better pass rush from us. We'll start getting some heat on the quarterback.
Well, even in this game, by halfway through the second quarter, Rod had fixed that. Guys weren't, the defense was able to get out there and make a couple stops, do their jobs, get the offense the ball back, and then you saw Dak kind of shake off the cobwebs. What I think it was with Dak is I think we finally saw some nerves get to him, and I think that especially the first couple of drives, the 49ers were throwing some wrinkles in coverage that I don't think he'd ever seen before.
Well, no,
he looked.
We knew that. I think we knew that going in. I think we knew that we were going to see a couple different fronts that were going to disguise some things differently than what we've seen prior.
Yep.
The overall defensive scheme that they were looking at was something different altogether. As we talked about, Ahmad Brooks and Navarro Bowman, there were concerns that Navarro Bowman got hurt and left the game.
That was a shame to see.
Yeah, it really was. And we kind of joke about that kind of stuff. It's like, oh wow, he's out, yay, whatever. But you really don't want that.
Yeah,
you don't want to see anybody get hurt.
Yep.
It's their livelihood and it's their physical well-being. So that's never good. But I think maybe. Well, I don't think maybe. I know positively that we benefited from his absence.
Zeke took over the game after that.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. So we can dive into a little bit of the stats here, just to take a look at it. So Prescott had another very good day, 23 of 32. Again, no interceptions.
Which is, a statement in and of itself, because the 49ers, they are one of the top couple of teams in the league for forcing takeaways.
Well, and to Prescott's credit, 131 attempts without an interception, and that is a record to start a career. So that's really good. 245 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. Should have had a third one if Bryce would have came down with that one in the end zone.
Yep.
But whatever. Ezekiel Elliott, 23 attempts, 138 yards and a touchdown, had a 26-yard burst.
And to be honest, Zeke should have had a second touchdown, which would have been a reception on the screen pass towards the end of the second quarter, I believe it was. And he had a gigantic lane wide open for a touchdown, and he was following. You can't necessarily blame him because he was following his bigger blocker. I think that was who was that out on the right side? Maybe it's Martin out there.
Martin or Frederick, because Frederick got outside.
But one of those big guys was out in front of him, and he was following him, and ended up, instead of cutting back to the lane, took it up along the sideline and ended up getting tackled.
Well, He'll learn.
Oh yeah.
I mean, what we're seeing from him and from Dak,
Yep.
as I said before, is an almost weekly maturation.
Yep. I mean,
process.
they're being forced to learn on the job. This is literally on the job training for them.
And I really like the way that that Linehan is working in Alfred Morris. I mean,
Yes.
so the way it's set up right now is that the third series of each half is Alfred Morris's.
Yep.
So and then as needed throughout the rest of the game.
Yep.
So anyway, again, we had 190. I think it totals like 196 yards rushing on top of our 199 last week.
Yep.
We are piling up the rushing yards as we should with this offensive line, but got to keep in mind we've been without Collins, and we've been without Tyron Smith. So Leary is not a bad guy to have to fill in. And let's remember this. Leary did not lose his job last year to Lyle Collins. He lost his job last year to an injury.
Yep.
And then Collins was playing well enough, they wanted to keep him in there and let Leary heal and set on the side. So keep that in mind. Not necessarily Collins outplayed him to get that starting job. So just a note. So receiving, Beasley was the big yardage leader. He had 66 yards, but Old Man Rivers, Jason Witten, had the most receptions, 7 of them for 47 yards. The guy, I'm convinced Jason Witten is never going to retire.
Ever.
No, I don't think he's ever going to retire. I think he's going to play until he dies.
He outworks you every week.
I think he'll play until he dies, and then they'll put him on injured reserve, designated to return. I think he's that kind of guy. I don't know, but anyway. So looking a little deeper, of course, Dan Bailey. We found out right before the game that his back was hurting. I was told that the hotel that the team was staying at, they were raving about how wonderful and how soft the mattresses were. You lay on them just like a pillow and you'd fall asleep. So here's the thing. That might be great for some people, but not everybody's like that.
Yep.
And a kicker, that could be a problem.
Yep.
If they're not used to that kind of thing and they wake up and their back is a little hinky. So maybe that played into it. But he was hurt. They were looking at some other potential tryouts just in case he can't go this week.
Please don't say it. Dan, get well soon.
Yeah, please. But he had another miss. So that's 2 weeks in a row. So there's something there.
Yep.
There's something there. I'm just not. That's just very un-Dan Bailey.
Yep.
So we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Of course, it was a 47-yarder. I mean, it was.
Yeah, but 47 yarders for him.
Yeah, that's nothing to Dan Bailey.
Bailey. No, seriously, Bailey is automatic inside 50 yards.
Yeah.
But anyway, so on defense, Sean Lee led the way with tackles.
Yep.
He had a total of 9. Right behind him was Barry Church, and then Mo Claiborne. And Mo has been playing.
Lights out.
We've been talking about it. Claiborne just keeps getting. I don't want to say getting better because I think he always was a good player.
Oh yeah.
He's healthy, and now we're seeing the benefits of him being a healthy back, defensive back,
and taking care of himself better. I mean, it is like I said, Mo is night and day. That kind of improvement over where he has been in the past 4 years, and I don't think that it's ever been a lack of talent, or else I can't imagine that Jones would have moved up to pick him up.
No.
But it's pretty clear that he has clearly done something different physically to keep himself in better shape to where the nicks and cuts and scrapes and the injuries and stuff like that don't hinder him the way that they have.
He himself has rededicated himself.
Yeah.
I don't want to say dedicated himself to being healthy, working out. He's stronger. I think he might even be a little faster.
Yep.
On that interception that he made, a great play on the ball.
Yep.
Coming back a little bit for it. the ball it was not thrown perfectly,
Right.
and the receiver had a step on Mo. However, that being said, it looks like if you watch the replay, it kind of looked like Mo saw the play. It saw the ball was offline and kind of let the receiver separate a hair, and then to come back and get the
Which
ball.
is smart because then he's not having to fight the receiver for the ball.
Right. Well, he wouldn't have caught it if he stayed step for step with the
Right.
receiver because the receiver couldn't get it.
Right.
So anyway, so just again, big shout out to Mo Claiborne.
Yep.
Just great job. Keep doing what you're doing, man.
By far the defensive MVP thus far.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not even close.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, so we had one sack. Would like to see us get more pressure. We had one sack. Came from Crawford, Tyrone Crawford, from that defensive end position.
Yep.
Our red zone efficiency went down to 66%, but you can't be 100. You're not going to be 100% every week. You wished you were, but you weren't. Yeah, they were 2 for 3 in the red zone. Another trend that we're seeing, our time of possession we keep having the advantage there.
Yep.
23-33 for San Francisco, 36-27, almost a 12-minute, or a little more of a
whole quarter.
12-minute average advantage over the 49ers.
Yep.
Now, why do we keep talking about time of possession each week, and why is it a big deal? First of all, the time of possession really, in and of itself, doesn't mean a lot. If I keep the ball for 9 minutes and you keep and you get the ball for 7 minutes, how do I keep you from keeping it 7 minutes or 9 minutes or 10 minutes or however long? The time of possession, what it really talks about is what the defense is doing.
Yes.
Can they take the ball away?
Yep.
So when you look at that, and I keep bringing it back because I keep talking about the much maligned defense.
Yep.
When we have that kind of shift and we have that kind of advantage, it means that we're getting off the field, and that's something that we weren't doing last year.
Yes, absolutely.
We weren't getting off the field, and we weren't getting off the field in key area and key times, and now we are.
Yep.
So that's big. So here's some big news. Zeke is the NFL leading rusher.
He is.
412 yards.
Through 4 weeks.
Through 4 weeks.
That's over 100 yards a game, folks.
And that is without Collins.
Yep.
And without Tyron Smith.
Tyron for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Collins
for 1.5.
Almost 2.
1.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Like I've said all along, I think he's going to break the Cowboys rookie rushing record, and I'm excited to see it. Sean Lee, again, so far this year, he's our leading He's our leading
spectacular.
Yes, he's our leading tackler at 35 total combined tackles. And get this, Dak Prescott is third in passing percentage among quarterbacks with at least 70 attempts.
Wow.
He is 67.9. Now, 67.9. Pretty good when you consider, I think the number one guy is Matt Ryan, and he's like at 71 or 72%.
Right.
Okay. I'll take that. I'll take that from a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
It's just starting it every single time.
Yeah.
So, again, giddy as heck over the win.
Yeah.
Really excited about where this team is headed.
Absolutely.
What they're doing offensively. I mean, yeah, you can pick things apart. You can say, well, Bryce Butler, stupid penalty for flipping the ball and taunting. Okay, pull the ball in when you got the chance in the end zone.
Right.
Things like that. But again, like I said, we can pick things apart. But I think they've done well. I think they've done exceedingly well. And
absolutely.
And like I said last week, if you were not around watching this team grow up in the 70s, and if you weren't old enough to see this team grow up in the 90s, you're seeing it again right now.
Yep.
Enjoy it. Just enjoy what you're seeing.
Yep.
And it's just going to get better. So so hang in there. So we're going to take a break. We're going to move on to the Cincinnati Bengals right afterward. Pay attention to our sponsors, and we'll be back in just a minute. We are back, and this is the Middle Tennessee Dallas Cowboys fan club, and we're getting ready to talk about the upcoming game this week, Week 5 in the NFL, and we are going to be looking at the Cincinnati Bengals coming to Dallas, or more accurately Arlington, to take on the Cowboys. This is going to be, I believe, so far, will be the toughest matchup for the Cowboys.
I agree. Yeah.
We've seen some really good things from this offense. The defense has played very well.
Yep.
There are going to be challenges that we have not seen yet. When you look at the Cincinnati Bengals defense, you're looking at guys like Vontaze Burfict. You're looking at Geno Atkins. You're looking at guys that can get pressure, serious pressure, on a quarterback.
Yep.
Ron Leary, Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, Doug Free, and whoever we have out there at left tackle, whether it's Tyron Smith or Chaz Green, who, by the way, I just heard is walking around today, Tuesday, in a walking boot. I don't know what. I just found out a few minutes before we started doing this video. We don't know what the story is. Hopefully, it's just a precaution for something, but we'll see. We know that Tyron has a bulging disc in his back, but I will tell you, whoever is out there,
got their work cut out for
just that whole line. Just you have to play your game.
Yep.
Do what you do, and play to your strengths.
Yep.
Because this defense will bring the heat. Defense, they can cover.
Yep.
And all I want to say about the defense on Cincinnati's side of it is that if you fall asleep on them, they're going to hurt you.
They're going to make you pay.
Yeah, yep. and you can't do that. I think a good way to beat this team is just to keep the pressure on.
Yep.
Just keep the pressure on. I was kind of excited. Excited. I was a little bit surprised, pleasantly surprised, to see us run more of those sugar huddles and more of those hurry ups.
Yep.
At different times. I think that's a recipe for success for Dak. And I think that the more you keep their defense on the field, and keep our big brutes up front running ball and stuff, and I think that's how we're going to win this one.
Yep.
We're going to have to do more of the same thing. We're going to have to pound that rock more and get Zeke on track. And I think maybe Morris might be a little bit more of a factor in this game too. As we said, their plan is to run Alfred Morris the third series of each half.
Yep.
And so we might see him stretched out a little bit more.
Yep.
Just to keep Zeke fresher and keep fresh legs in with Morris.
Yep.
So that's kind of my take on it from a defensive perspective. The Red Rifle, Andy Dalton. He's got some weapons to work with.
Yeah, he does.
So we have to be careful. I did like what just to try to go back to the game last week. We saw Cowboys play more of a dime, more often, and bringing Byron Jones into that slot, whether he was taking a slot receiver or whether he was taking a tight end. I wonder if we'll be doing more of that this week with these guys.
It wouldn't surprise me, especially when you've got A.J. Green out there on the outside. He's obviously the biggest threat that the Cincinnati offense is gonna throw at us. Dalton, he is for all the hate that he gets, especially when it comes postseason time. Man, in the regular season, him and A.J. Green, man, they are a tough draw. But like I said. See, right now, I don't want to say that AJ doesn't scare me because a talent like that always scares you. But Mo has been playing so well that it's not, like I said, it's not that he doesn't scare me, but at this point, I am starting to have that trust in Mo to say, look, go pick up 18 and just shut him down.
Well, that whole defensive secondary, I think, is playing very well. Even the backups.
Because Skandrick was out again last
Anthony
week,
Brown came in and played a very good
game.
Very solid game. So I think you're right. I mean, they can. I think they can handle them. It's just got to be. They got to be smart about it.
Yep.
But we got to get pressure.
Yes.
And we. It comes at a good time to get Tank back.
No kidding. It couldn't have come at a better time to get Tank back.
And I don't know. I mean, I know that they want to. I think they want to play him at right rush end where he was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was at left rush end because Gregory was there last year, right? So Gregory's out, and I know they want to put him back over at right, but I wonder if they'll flip him some. I wonder if they'll put him over there and put Tyron Crawford back out, just to mix it up a little bit and see where the soft spot is for Tank.
Right.
So I don't know. Well, it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah.
And we talk about our who are players to watch and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna take 2. Actually, I'm gonna take 6. My 1, which is 5, I'm taking the offensive line because I think, like I said, is gonna be a key.
Yep.
See how well they do with the injuries and whatnot.
Yep.
But Tank Lawrence is my guy to watch. You gotta see what he's gonna bring.
Right.
So what's your thoughts coming up? I mean, what do you think about the Bengals?
The only other thing I want to say about this past game, and it leads me into my thoughts with Cincinnati, is if you watched that the last time the defense was on the field in the first half, and the offense's scoring drive there towards the end of the first half. That was a big boy drive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you literally got to see Dak mature before your eyes.
Oh yeah.
It looked like he'd finally settled down. I think he went like 6 for 8 on that last drive, and they put a touchdown on the board to tie it up right going into halftime.
Right.
That was a game that, man, by the end of the first quarter, the beginning of the second quarter, man, just like you said, that game could have totally got away from those guys. And in years past, it might have. But
last year it would have.
Yeah, no kidding. But what we saw on both sides of the ball was this team answered the bell. It was time for the defense to do their job. They went out and did their job. Offense gets the ball back with all their timeouts and a minute, some odd seconds on the clock. They went out and did their job. So that gives me a lot of faith in Cincinnati coming to town. For me, my biggest concerns is that Cincinnati, they've been really beat up on both sides of the ball so far in the year, and and their 2-2 record shows that. I think Cincinnati is starting to get healthy now, whereas Dallas looks like we are starting to get more and more hurt with Tyron out, with Collins out, Skandrick's out, Dez is banged up. I mean, you name it, there's a Cowboy that's got an ailment somewhere on his body.
Well, the NFL, in general. I mean, once you get into the second, third week of the season,
Yep.
I guarantee you, every single player
Yep.
has a bump, a bruise, or a pain, or an ache, or something.
Yep.
You can't play this game the way they play it and not have that. There's a difference between being injured and being hurt.
Right.
And some people can play hurt, but they say, well, can you play hurt? You can play hurt, but you don't necessarily want to play injured.
Right.
Because they can do more damage.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. We're beat up.
Yep.
But we're playing through them.
Yep.
We're playing through those things, and talking like maybe Dez is going to be able to play this week. It's really a pain thing for him. They have said that he cannot do any damage to that knee now with pushing off or cutting or anything. It's just can he?
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see. Dez is he's his own breed.
He is.
And we'll see. So what's your thoughts? And what do you think? Do you think we pull this out? You think we
I think
second loss. What do you think?
I think that it's definitely a winnable game. We're going to need Dak to go out and run that big boy offense. We're going to need the defense to go out and get those key stops, just like they have the last few weeks. I think with the injuries starting to mount and Cincinnati starting to get healthy, I think that this game is much closer than double digits, which is what I've been calling the last couple of weeks. I think we win by a field goal. I'll say 23-20, Dallas.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think it's going to be closer. There is a part of me that says I think this is where we hit the wall, just in terms of our defense. But at the same time, they could surprise us.
Yeah.
I'm right on the edge of calling this maybe an L for us, or calling it a W for us. So I'm going to go to the homer side of it and say I think we get the win.
Yep.
I don't think it's going to be real easy. I'm going to say probably, and it's not. I don't think it's going to be pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't. But I think it's going to be low scoring, in my opinion, and I think we're probably going to see something like a 17, at best 17 to 14.
Yep.
Maybe 14-10, something like that.
I could definitely see that.
It's just I just don't see running up the point. Now, with that said, if they can get the running game on track,
Yep.
if they can control that clock, if they can get some defensive stops,
Yep.
early, and can get out in front early and do what San Francisco couldn't do last week, which was get us out of our game plan and we can get them out of theirs.
Right.
That's a different ballgame.
Absolutely.
But I don't know if that, I don't see it really happening, but if that happens, then it could be a nice sizable win. But
That's right.
so we talked about our players to watch.
Yep.
You had Sean Lee, I think.
Yeah. I want to watch Sean Lee. I think just like you said, it's not necessarily a trap game or something like that, but this is one of those games that the defense is really going to be put to the test. So I want to see what my quarterback of the defense can do. I want Sean Lee just like he has so far this year, I want him to be around the ball every play. I want him barking out the orders, and I want as long as the V-line can do their job and that secondary can continue playing lights out the way that they have been thus far. I want to see that linebacking core, Sean Lee especially, start taking over this ball game.
Yeah, good. Well, we'll see how it flows. I'm excited about where this team is headed.
Mm-hmm.
If you would have said to me that you would be 3-1, when Tony Romo went down with the back, and you said, "Don't worry about it, we'll be 3-1 without Tony."
Yeah.
I'd have called up the nut house and had you put away.
That's right.
But you would have been right, and I'm excited about it and to see where we end up. And I'm not just excited about this season, which I am, but the future really does look good for the Cowboys.
It does.
And I'm just I'm really happy as a Cowboy fan. I'm happy, but I'm really happy for Cowboy fans
Yep.
that are younger that haven't enjoyed the success that we've seen and that I personally have seen. I've been a fan since 1968, and so I've kind of been through all that and enjoyed all of that, and so I'm really glad for my fellow Cowboy fans who are a lot younger than me that hasn't enjoyed it. So enjoy it while we're going through it, and when you have the growing pains, just remember when we do win it all, you'll be, here's
That's
my
right.
battle scar, but look
That's
what we
right.
got, So,
That's right.
all right. So this coming week, we've got the Bengals. We have our watch party at Bailey's in Goodlettsville,
Yep.
behind the Rivergate Mall. Game time is at 3:25. The watch party starts at 3 o'clock. Come on out early, get signed in, and we'll have some giveaways for our premium members. If you're not a premium member, you can sign up out there, and we'll take care of you.
That's right.
Great atmosphere. All Cowboy fans out there cheering together and,
always a lot of
yelling
fun
together.
Yep.
It's all about the camaraderie. So come out and see us. Facebook pages. There's some links at the bottom of this video. We have 2 different ones. You can like our page and you can join a page. Would love for you to do that. Anything else? Well, okay. So until next week, this is Rob Vale and Levi Batchelor. Middle Tennessee Dallas Cowboys fan club. Check us out, and we appreciate you hanging with us again this week. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks.